Thanks for listening to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in American soccer. And don't forget to subscribe.
Coming live from a tornado down in Texas is Armand Kafai. Armand, man on the ground. What are the scenes like?
Dude, it's black outside. I didn't know what was going on. I just got bzzz from my phone, and dude, it sounds like there's some a nader outside. But I'm here for our loyal listeners and our number one fans. If I get sucked up by this tornado, I just want to let y'all know to follow me on Twitter at Armand Kafai for all my takes.
Check out your mixtape on SoundCloud.
I'll send out my phone number in a tweet later on. Y'all can text me best wishes because it's pretty black outside and this thing is coming towards me. So
loyalty.
Yeah, might be a really fun time. But no. I want to give a shout out to Away Days before I freaking get sucked up by this tornado. Use promo code Uncle Sam for 15% off. I actually need to buy an Away Days jersey. Hopefully I get sucked up and put in Narnia.
With us is Jake Watroba in Minnesota. What's up, Jake? We haven't done one of these shows where it's the three of us.
No, I don't think we've done one except for that 10 to 15 minute segment on the USSF presidential election live show. Right. So...
Bro, do y'all hear that siren? Do y'all hear that siren? Dude, it's loud!
Okay.
What the hell?
Anyway, on today's show, we're talking U.S. soccer. No, we got some hot takes. We're going to discuss Zlatan Ibrahimovic, CONCACAF Champions League, and Bruce Arena's new book. You'll also be listening to the interview I did with Brian Ching. We talked about the changes in MLS during his time, his 12 seasons, as well as where's MLS going, and then finally, what is Pitch 25? Listen to the interview to find out. But let's begin with Armand and the CONCACAF Champions League, because you've been absolutely all over this on Twitter at Armand Kafai. Before you get sucked away, it looks like Toronto FC is going to get there, but with the Red Bulls, the team that you said has a real chance to get there, you think they can overcome after what we saw Wednesday night?
Well, first off, I want to say that Toronto's job is not done yet. America, man, it's kind of hard to say this when there's sirens in the background.
I know, we hear the sirens now. We do.
All right, nice. It's going to be great drama. Toronto's job is not done yet. They allowed that away goal, which sucks, and they showed signs of weakness. They got that 3-1 win. It's a pretty big result, and they looked really confident. But going to Azteca and altitude and against a team like America, who's very strong, it's going to be a very, very tough atmosphere as well. We saw El Piojo Miguel Herrera talk about how the Toronto police hit the America players, which every other party disputed, but it should rile up some fans that don't really care what the other people say. So it should be a really rowdy atmosphere. As for the Red Bulls, I do think they have a real shot. They only lost 1-0. Man, these sirens are really bothering me. They lost 1-0 to Chivas on the road, which, I mean, I thought was a pretty fine performance. Like, knowing the circumstances, they kind of played for a relatively close loss. And they could have had one. Bradley Wright Phillips had a chance, but was saved by, I think, Cote. So, I mean, Red Bulls do have a chance to advance and move on. It's not over yet, but I think they'll face a hostile environment at Red Bull Arena, even though it's their home, because we all know how Chivas fans follow. They're crazy. Hey, can you...
Well, listeners, Armand got sucked away by the tornado. Jake, regarding the Champions League, how excited are you for the potential of, Toronto going to this final? Because it seems like they're more in the driver's seat than Red Bulls are for concerning MLS.
I mean, I'm excited about it, but I think, I cautioned earlier in the week when, the three of us were texting. Toronto almost blew that quarterfinal match with Tigres.
Yes.
So I don't think they're out of the woods yet. especially going to America to play at the Azteca. A 2-goal lead, I don't think is safe.
Armand, do you think that too?
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. It's Liga MX. Liga MX is better than MLS. America is one of the top teams in Liga MX. Toronto is a top team in MLS. We know that. We've seen that. We see the way they play. They play confident. I mean, man, the way Marky Delgado played on Tuesday, like a round of applause. It was a brilliant performance from a guy who I think makes Toronto's midfield work and run. But, man, it's Liga MX. It's America. You're playing at Azteca. It's going to be a hostile environment. Anything can happen. And Jake's right. We did see Toronto almost blow that lead against Tigres towards the end of the match. Man, if you saw that, and the fact that they're going away for this leg, it does make you a little bit nervous. You can't say it's in the bag. You can't say, "Oh, we're going to be ready to go." Blah blah blah. I don't think you can.
But the matchup against Tigres, was that not a learning experience for Toronto? Could you not say, "Look, they've had that moment. Now they're going to be more prepared"? I mean, they're going to play at Azteca, and that's at altitude. Josie Altidore and Michael Bradley have experience, but what about the rest of the squad? I think that's a huge factor that nobody's talking about.
Well, I mean, I think it's going to come up. But yeah, the rest of the squad doesn't really have that experience in playing in that sort of altitude. It's tough. I mean, we've heard experiences from men's national team players.
Wait, I take it back because players do have experience of playing at altitude or going to Colorado and to some degree.
But it's not as bad. It's not as big as. I mean, you've seen teams train. When the men's national team has a friendly or is preparing for Mexico, they usually do play at Dig Sporting Good Park in Colorado to prepare for that. But at the same time, I still think it's almost apples and oranges compared to. First off, Azteca's monstrous. It's monstrous. It's not gonna be like 80,000 people like screaming like the U.S.-Mexico games. But it's still going to be a hostile enough environment to where it's still something where you have to take into an account, especially with the quality of America. I mean, we did see you saw that individual goal. It was a brilliant goal. Rio Peralta didn't do that much, but again, that team has the potential to do a lot more damage. I think they're really, really pissed off, especially after what happened in leg one.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, like I said earlier, I'm not going to be shocked if America wins this one, like you guys alluded to about the Azteca, which I don't know if this is really being talked about as much. Is playing at altitude at Azteca, that's going to take a toll on all those guys that aren't named Josie Altidore and Michael Bradley. And I think another thing that's not being talked about either is the air quality in Mexico City too, which I think could have some effect on the Toronto FC players. And not to mention too, I don't think that environment, man, that is going to be a hostile environment. That is going to be like nothing they've seen in MLS. So I guess I'll be curious to see how they rebound. I'm more confident that Red Bull will beat Chivas than Toronto will beat America.
Really? I mean, I can see your point, Jake, but my issue is I think Toronto have the experience. They played Tigres. They played a squad that is better than Club America. They are. Tigres is a better squad. So as far as it comes to the game itself, I think Toronto will be fine. The big issue is what type of squad will Club America come? Will they be the more desperate squad? Will they really press the issue? Will they have the fans on their side? And will they be motivated? I think Liga MX has underrated the drive from, other than Colorado, the drive of MLS in this Champions League. The Red Bulls, Seattle, and Toronto. Really taking the bull by the horns and saying, you know what, we're going to go after this. This is, I think, the first time where you see more of a motivation from MLS and Liga MX thinking, oh, well, MLS hasn't done anything in the past. We can just, skip our way to the final.
For sure. And I think that also probably what the success of MLS during this competition, minus Dallas and Colorado, I think, just the quality of MLS too has gotten better as well. Like you said, the MLS really hasn't done too much in this competition. I know Montreal Impact, I think they made it to the semifinals a few years ago. But
Final.
There you go. I stand corrected. I just think the quality of MLS has caught up a little bit to Liga MX. Granted, I don't think it's. I still think there's a pretty sizable gap. And maybe Steven, you are right that some of these clubs out of Mexico are, I guess if you want to say, playing down to their opponent some and kind of think, it's MLS. Their season's just started. It's kind of quote unquote preseason to them. We don't need to necessarily take them seriously. And I mean, it's nice to see that a team like Toronto and a team like Red Bull are, they're showing that they actually care about winning this competition, as opposed to Colorado, who just were like, "Hey, we're here. We're just gonna play. Yeah, we're gonna play a couple matches, and we'll get on with the MLS regular season." So, you're right. There might be a little bit of Liga MX playing down to MLS, but I also think that the quality of MLS has gotten a little bit better over the last couple of years.
One thing I wanted to mention is that the Liga MX sides will have to play matches. MLS has put in some scheduling favors for Toronto and for Red Bulls, allowing their games to be moved in preparation for, I think, the second leg of these matches. So they'll have a week off, and they'll be ready to go. The Liga MX sides have to play games over the weekend, and it's tough. It's the reality. I mean, it's a little benefit for the MLS sides. In my eyes, I do agree with Jake. I do think Red Bulls do have a better chance, I guess, of advancing. I don't know. They got to come out a little better than they did last game. They're on the back foot. Hopefully it changes when they're at quote-unquote home, which, I mean, I expect it to be predominantly Chivas fans. It should be a fun encounter, but Jake's also right in terms of the quality of MLS getting better. I mean, we see it. You see Toronto just not manhandling, but putting on a confident, good shift that makes you think, damn, they do belong in the semifinal of CCL. And it wasn't luck that they got there. It was how good the team is. And I think that's a narrative that's slowly starting to change, and hopefully will be changing in the coming years. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw an all-MLS final either.
Well, we will see. Speaking of talent in the league, Zlatan Ibrahimovic made his debut. We all know it. The goal,
oh my God,
heard around the world pretty much. The header to win it. Was it offsides? Was it onside? Who cares? The question is, what type of impact is he going to make to Major League Soccer? And he's obviously older. In the interview with Brian Ching, he actually alludes to the fact that he wouldn't be surprised if Ibrahimovic has some growing pains. MLS is very unique because of the travel demands that you put on these bodies through the time zones. You're not traveling 1 to 2 hours. You're traveling at least, in most cases, probably 3 hours. You're flying quite a bit, so it'll be interesting to see that. But what type of impact, boys, do you think Ibra is going to make on this league?
I think MLS is, with this signing, is kind of towing a dangerous line, to be honest with you. And let me start off by saying I'm really excited about Ibrahimovic being in MLS. However, I feel like the MLS detractors, the naysayers, the haters, whatever you want to call them, I think this is fuel to their fire. Because if Zlatan comes in and he scores 30 goals and just makes a joke, basically, of MLS back lines, you're going to have your, quote-unquote Euro snobs who will say, see, MLS isn't good. Look, it's Zlatan, 36 years old.
That used to be me.
Yeah, that's you. Zlatan comes in, he scores 30 goals. He misses, the first month of the year. And, yeah, see, he's 36, Jake, coming off an ACL tear. The league's bad. I think that is the dangerous line MLS is towing here. Is I think they can get – they're going to use Zlatan to get those fans to kind of start watching MLS. But I think it might turn into pushing them away further.
I get it. The thing is with Ibra is he brings a personality I don't think we've seen to the league. I think the big question we should be asking is this David Beckham 2.0? Forget Kaká, forget David Villa, Thierry Henry, Bastian Schweinsteiger.
This is bigger, I think.
This is way bigger, but this is different. To put it in perspective, over the weekend, the number 6 YouTube video trending in the U.S. Sunday night was Ibra's goal. I've never seen a MLS goal be the number 6 trending video on YouTube. The other night,
you're right, Steven. You're right. And just to interrupt you, I was actually on a call with one of my friends who I would say has never watched a soccer game in his life. And I was telling him a story, and I was like, I mentioned Zlatan's name. He's like, oh, that guy signed for the Galaxy. And I was like, wait, how do you know this guy? He's like, he's been all over social media, all over ESPN. Have you guys seen it? He was on SportsCenter a couple nights ago.
Yeah.
Just bantering away. I've seen more of his highlight, his goal on SportsCenter, wherever, ESPN networks, Fox Sports, everywhere, plastered when I'm at the gym, when I'm at home, when I'm at college. People saying, did you guys see Ibra's debut? I've gotten texts about it left and right. This is something that I would argue, is either on pay with Beckham's hype or even greater, because of where MLS is right now. It might be even greater.
I'm going to interrupt you because we're going to put some numbers on this. I was curious to know what type of influence David Beckham really made in MLS. I'm reading from Reuters, March 2015, Mark Laporte Stokes. Since 2006, MLS has expanded from 12 teams to 20, and the average attendance grew by over 3,000 during Beckham's era in MLS. Now, do you think 3,000 is going to be the growth we see with Ibra? I think it's going to be even bigger. I think Ibrahimovic brings... If you love soccer and Ibra's coming, it is borderline stupid not to go. You're a stupid soccer fan if you don't go.
It's a must-watch. It's a must-watch game. The amount of texts I've gotten from people I played soccer with in high school and in college have been, are you going to the FC Dallas versus LA Galaxy game? Watch Ibra? You want to get tickets? Well, too bad for them. I have credentials. But they're like, oh, do you want to get tickets? And tickets have jumped from 20 to 40 when Ibra was announced signed to the Galaxy, to, as I'm talking about, as soon as that second goal was scored, to about $65, $70 for starting, the lowest price. It is insane. The hype around Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
I don't remember this, but wasn't the LAFC, LA Galaxy trending on Twitter? It was like the most talked about thing for a moment there over something else.
It had to be. It was over the. It was the most talked about thing over, I think, that next couple of days, even more than the Final Four that was going on. That went on later on in the night. I don't know about you or Steven or Jake, but guys, I've rewatched that video so many times of him scoring that goal, and I've had people just come up to me and say it was a beautiful goal. I've had random people just come up to me and ask for what I thought. I've never had this. Like, it's such a bizarre thing. It's unbelievable. It's not people who just watch things. People who've seen the highlights who are like, maybe I'll tune in and watch a soccer game now. That's the impact Zlatan's going to have. That goal was tremendous. You can't even argue anything else. That goal was an absolute... I can't put in words.
Jake, you, as someone who's newer to soccer, do you remember David Beckham having an impact in what you were watching?
It's funny you should say that, because I remember when David Beckham came to MLS, and I think it was right after I graduated high school. And keep in mind, and this was, 9, 10 years ago, however many years ago it was when Beckham came to MLS. I was anti-soccer. I didn't care about it, whatever. And I just remember watching SportsCenter and and it was like David Beckham's first game or second game or whatever. And it's like he didn't score. And I kind of thought, well, this is dumb. Like, they bring in David Beckham, he doesn't score. Like, what's the big deal? And now it's like, and it's like, as casual soccer, then I wouldn't even call myself a casual soccer guy. But it's like, for somebody who was the casual soccer person and they're like, oh, let's check out MLS, David Beckham's playing, and he's not scoring goals. Well, why would you keep watching? You know what I mean? Now you have Zlatan, who is
he's a goal scorer.
He's a goal. Yeah, you're right. He is a goal scorer, the truest definition of a goal scorer. And he's this big dude too. Like, he is going to score so many goals in so many different ways too. And I think that is what's going to draw people in. Is go, I'm going to watch Zlatan maybe score a hat trick today because he can do it, and he has the pedigree and shows that he can do it. So that's why I think this is bigger than Beckham. He may not be the name, like David Beckham.
Well, David. Sorry, Jake, but David Beckham's name I think is greater with neutrals. Ibra's name is so much bigger with the soccer community. The issue is there is such a big soccer community here in America that is non-MLS. That's what I think Ibra attracts the non-MLS soccer fans more so than David Beckham did with neutrals. I think neutrals were more interested in Beckham than Ibra.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think you're right. I mean, I had season tickets last year to Minnesota United, and I can tell you, like, I was giddy to see like Clint Dempsey play. So I can't. Fingers crossed that
Clint Dempsey was the guy that you wanted to see.
I'm disappointed, Jake.
Come on.
No, I mean,
Bastian Schweinsteiger.
No, we didn't play. Fire didn't come to Minnesota last year.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, Kaká didn't come to Minnesota because he was playing on turf. We didn't play New York City FC in Minnesota. Didn't play Toronto either. So it's like, all right, I guess circle my calendar. Sounders and Clint Dempsey. That's what I'm getting excited for. And it's like now, it's like, oh, damn, Zlatan might be here. I think they play the Galaxy in Minnesota beginning of October, late September. Fingers crossed he plays. I'm not sure if they're going to keep him out because we play on turf up here. But, I mean, you're right. The casual, like the guy who, European soccer fan guy might actually come out to an MLS game now and just to see Zlatan. Well, so, I mean, that's pretty cool.
No, it's definitely interesting because I'm looking at numbers here, and the Week 5 average for the attendance in MLS was about 20,000, and this is from soccerstadiumdigest.com. Now, let's take the Revolution, for example. They, last year, I'm going to use last year's numbers because the Week 5 numbers regarding attendance is not fair because the weather was really bad. And I think bad weather definitely takes people out. So let's take the numbers of 2017. I'm going to ask you guys, how much more fans, do you think it would be a sellout? Portland averaged 21,000. That's pretty much, I think, a sold-out arena there. But how much hotter will that ticket be when LA visits Portland?
What do you mean in terms of hotter? I mean,
do you think the attendance will increase?
Portland?
Do you think
Portland
playing in Portland when LA visits?
Because Portland sells out their games regardless.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but if Portland could expand their stadium to say 40,000, do you think they would sell out 40,000 because Ibra's there?
I mean, I would almost argue that Portland's so soccer crazy that they could almost sell every game. I think it's a bad example. Sorry, it's hailing, guys. I really got confused. It's pretty loud hail. Oh, my car's gonna get screwed. Holy hell, this is loud.
We could hear that, listeners. If you didn't know, Armand did survive.
Hope you got full coverage. I guess I'll take over this question while Armand deals with this hailstorm thing. I don't know how fans will come out to Matt Free Stadium there with the whole relocation thing going on with Zlatan. I'm sure they'll definitely see a bump. I don't know if they'd sell it out though, just because I feel like you have fans that are boycotting that team. But they would, I think they would see a bump if Zlatan played in Columbus. I mean, I think you'll see a bump anywhere that's not a Seattle or Portland or Atlanta or Orlando. They'll see a good attendance bump.
But let's continue through the bottom part of this 2017 average. FC Dallas had 15,000. Armand was just talking about how hot the tickets are. That's definitely going to see a bump. Colorado.
It's gonna 100%, and you might even see more. They might start selling standing only tickets too, like they do for playoff games. So I wouldn't be surprised. Colorado, again, great example. I mean, on that Columbus note, as I'm like my house is getting pelted by hail. On that Columbus note, I do think it will sell out, man. Don't forget. I think it was Michigan Stadium. Was it where Man United sold out the entire stadium?
Real Madrid, Man United. Yeah. It was Real Madrid against somebody.
There you go. Like, and what? Michigan's not that far from Ohio,
yeah, but
right?
that's that. But
and people are gonna go out. People are gonna come out. I 100% believe people will come out.
But you're comparing Man United and Real Madrid to Zlatan. Like,
but here's the thing. Those are the people you're gonna attract. You're not gonna attract like, oh, the hardcore MLS guy. I mean, whatever. They're probably still gonna boycott the crew. I mean, if you look at those fans, you're gonna attract those fans to watch Zlatan play. Those are the kind of fans that are gonna come watch Zlatan play. The question is, can you convert those guys to full-time MLS fans?
I
That's
agree.
the question.
I agree, but I think if you're going to look at attendance, you're going to see an increase this year. You're going to see more of an increase than you've seen in previous years. I just think as a percentage, you'll see an increase because Ibra commands that ticket. It is much watched. It's hard for somebody who's stuck here in Madison. If the closest game is either Chicago or Minnesota. I mean,
hey, you're getting a USL club here pretty soon.
Yeah, and that will be exciting. But it's going to be really exciting to watch Ibra and selling out tickets. I mean, the thing I think the biggest advantage is if you attract that neutral or that soccer fan is not invested in MLS. You go out to a sold-out arena, it's going to be impressive. You're like, wow, this is what MLS is. Now, they're probably not going to realize that it's not because a lot of people are just like that person who is coming to watch Ibra. But think about it. Like, if the stadium's packed, you're going to want to come back again because it's just a neat experience. MLS and soccer is just different when it comes to culture regarding fans. It's not NFL where you sit there and just scream at the top of your lungs. It's not basketball where it's clap and, yell out defense. It's not baseball where you sit there and you're stuck on your phone and then you have to look up every once in a while because a baseball was hit. It's different.
No, you're right. And to kind of expand on your point, I think going to a sold-out MLS game is way more fun. I enjoy it so much more than going to a sold-out NBA game or a hockey game. I just feel like there's a different atmosphere. I'm not somebody who really cares for crowds, so to me it's like, going to a baseball game, going to a Twins game up here in Minnesota or a Timberwolves game when those teams were bad. It was kind of nice because it's like no one's around. You kind of can like spread out, and just kind of enjoy yourself. And now it's like, now they're good again, so the stadiums are packed. But I just think that you're right. That atmosphere in an MLS stadium, maybe that does attract a couple of those quote unquote Euro snobs to, come back for another game. And, and that's how, maybe you're right. Maybe the Zlatan thing helps build up, other fan bases and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
We'll have to wait and see. I'm still a little skeptical on it though.
We'll see. Armand, you give I'll give you the final word before we move on to Bruce Arena.
I've said this to many people, and man, you can call me crazy. I do think Zlatan will be bigger than David Beckham. It's just a big cultural phenomenon, especially with Zlatan coming in. He's one of those guys that he's not the brand that David Beckham was. With his underwear or whatever David Beckham had, and Victoria Beckham too. But man, he brings firepower and he brings fun to the league. And Jake, I understand when you said that this guy, he's going to tear apart defenses and people are going to be like, wow, MLS sucks. But let's not forget, I was looking at this around a year ago, maybe even a year ago today. I think it might have been a year ago today. You actually saw Zlatan score in a Premier League match.
Yep.
Against, I think, maybe it was Everton. I don't remember off the top of my head. But he scored, and he scored again before he got injured. This is a guy who's 1 year removed, obviously the bad knee injury, but from scoring a Premier League match. This guy's talent, I don't think, is matched by many in MLS. It's bigger than Drogba in terms of the impact he'll make on the field.
I forgot he made the move to MLS.
There you go. He was dominant. He was a very powerful and good player for the Impact. It's going to be bigger than I think even Villa. But Villa's made a huge impact in NYCFC.
Sure, but here's the thing.
On the field is what I mean.
It's Beckham 1, and then at the moment Ibra 2, and then you could list out whoever you want after that. David Villa has had a huge impact on the field, but Ibra brings a personality unlike David Beckham. It's the personality that Ibra goes to Sports Center, and it's fantastic to watch. It's the personality when it comes to the commercials. It's the personality on the field. I mean, do you guys, before he scored the winner, did you see that little ball he kicked towards, I think it was Carlos Vela on the ground?
Yep. And he was talking some
trash or whatever
mess,
he was doing. Yeah, so that's what Ibra brings that David Beckham didn't. But who knows? All right, Jake, let's talk about Bruce Arena. I
have one more question on Zlatan, actually, for both of you guys.
Okay.
I just want to get your takes. If Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo did not play in this era, okay, how much bigger of a deal would it be that? Because I mean, Zlatan would conceivably probably be the best player on the planet, right? If we didn't have Messi, we didn't have Ronaldo. Would you guys agree with that?
No, I wouldn't.
Neymar,
because his injury, I mean, if you were
5 years ago. 5 years ago.
The thing is, I honestly don't remember Ibra being that big of a name after Barcelona. He started to pop up on my radar, but it's really at PSG where he made the name. Because again, going to PSG for Ibra was a risk. Because going to France was a risk because French football had fallen apart pretty much, and PSG were trying to rebuild. So by bringing Ibra in, they were attracting not only a name, but they were also hoping other players would follow suit, and that ended up happening. Now you have Neymar there. Jake, it's a very good question. I just don't know where Ibra ranks. The problem is, when it comes to soccer personalities, you have the big three with Ronaldo, Messi, and Neymar. Ibra's on that list of top 10 when it comes to soccer personalities. Who else would you put up there?
Well, I don't know. I guess the question I was trying to ask is, would this be a bigger deal if those two weren't playing in this era right now? Would people go, oh my God, like Zlatan Ibrahimovic? I mean, people are already doing that, but would you see more of that? Like, wow, we just attracted one of the three best players in the world to MLS, or you know what I mean? I guess that's what I'm curious about, is if Messi and Ronaldo kind of take away from how good Zlatan is.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, let's get to Bruce Arena quickly because we have to comment on what's going on there in his book. Jake, fill in the gaps.
All right, so I don't know if you guys read the Washington Post story by Stephen Goff about Bruce Arena's new book, which is titled "What's Wrong with U.S." A coach's blunt take on the state of American soccer after a lifetime on the touchline. It'll go on sale on June 12th for anybody who's interested in reading that. If you can tell by the tone of my voice, I am not going to be purchasing this book. But anyway, so in this book, Bruce Arena essentially goes into detail about his time as was he the interim manager, or was he just I guess he was probably just the manager during this past World Cup cycle to qualify to CONCACAF. And he talks about how 6 months prior to being hired, he was in negotiations with U.S. Soccer to take over for Jurgen Klinsmann, that Jurgen was supposed to be fired before Copa America, and then Sunil Gulati, kind of chickened out, if you will, and got a little nervous. What do you guys think about this?
To add a little bit more onto what Jake said, part of the decision why the decision wasn't made was because Dan Flynn had an emergency procedure to fix something in his heart. And that's unacceptable. If you believe that there's going to be a massive decision made and you believe that they need to make one, if you're whoever's in charge of the firing or hiring the coaches or whatever, you cannot let one person not being there dictate the whole thing. And also, it's kind of funny how that comes out after the fact, It's kind of like Arena is just like, it really wasn't my fault. I didn't have that much time. Klinsmann put me in a 6-point gap in the easiest qualifying, but it wasn't my fault. I think it's first off inexcusable from USSF. I think Bruce Arena doesn't get what the magnitude of what he did in not having a teammate World Cup. He went on Fox, we could have done so much. I wouldn't change a thing. He says the same thing in the book. This guy's using all this as a publicity. He's a clown. This guy's a clown.
His legacy's forever stained and it's over. I'm so tired of him. That's the issue. He doesn't realize that he is the reason to blame. He had 8 games to figure out. And who cares about the previous 7 games? If you had gotten a freaking draw against Trinidad and Tobago, we'd not be in this conversation at this moment, and that book would have never have been written. It would have been a blip on the radar. Yeah, they struggled through qualifying. Who cares? They got there. It's all about the World Cup now. What did we say with Mexico in 2014? They barely squeaked by to get to the World Cup. And if it weren't for an Iron Robin dive, who knows? They could have been in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and to go in a little bit more depth about this book, I don't know if this quote kind of bothers me from Arena, and I'll read it to you guys here. Arena writes, "I had trouble watching the Costa Rica game. Seriously, it was uncomfortable for me to see the U.S. team playing that way, out of sync and at odds with one another, looking as though they didn't really care all that much. Those back-to-back losses were a fiasco for U.S. soccer, and no matter how much blame lay at Klinsmann's feet, it was clear he'd coached his last game for the U.S." That quote, just the whole, they looked uncomfortable, basically kind of ripping the team. Did he not see his own team playing in those matches leading up to Trinidad and Tobago? Did he not have a problem with how they were out of sync?
Yeah, he didn't. I mean, the problem is with Arena is he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get the magnitude of what he's done. And when we look back, it might be a bigger deal when we look back in the future and we're like, damn, we missed the World Cup in 2018 and we couldn't get a draw to Trinidad and freaking Tobago. This guy's making money off books, TV. This guy's fine. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. He can do anything for the money, but in everyone's eyes, maybe except for some people who are like massive LA, well, his MLS career is fine. But national team-wise, I don't care about what he did in 2002. I really don't, because in 2018, he didn't get you to the World Cup. And I think that's a bigger failure that can only be overcome by you winning the World Cup.
Do you think he gets rehired by an MLS side? Or hired,
no.
Not rehired, but hired?
Yes.
Do you
I
really?
think so, but I don't think he will look to get a job. I don't think he will, because he's making plenty of money off this stuff. What is this guy? You think this guy wants to coach? I mean, if he could make money without having to coach, I mean, I would much rather do that.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever will get a job in MLS. I don't think there's a team that wants to take on that. It's bad PR. I mean, if you think about it. I mean,
It would be bad PR, Jake. I agree. I think hiring him you have to hire him in 3 or 4 seasons. You can't hire him within the next 2. It's too fresh. Everybody knows who Bruce Arena is and the stain he put on U.S. soccer for missing out on the World Cup.
I don't think you can hire him until after Qatar. I don't know. To me, if Minnesota United were to fire Adrian Heath and replaced him with Bruce Arena, that's next. I'd be so pissed off, you guys. You have no idea. I would not want that guy anywhere near my club just because of the massive failure to not qualify for the World Cup. It's just I don't know. It would just rub me the wrong way, and it would just forever remind me of this guy who had his head in the sand for a few months about how good U.S. soccer was, and that he basically, along with the players too, took away a World Cup from me. That's how I would view it.
Yeah. I mean, there goes the sirens again. But if, let's say it wasn't the U.S. men's national team that he failed to get to the World Cup to, you look at his resume, loads of MLS Cups and, wow, sorry, sirens bothering me. He has loads of MLS Cups, and also his resume, he took a team to a World Cup and they went to the quarterfinal, and he failed with a team in 2018. If USA wasn't on his resume, do you think he'd get hired?
I mean, sure. I think it is.
I think his MLS success, if you're looking to hire the best MLS coach, yeah, I would rather have Bruce Arena than some of the other players or some other coaching candidates available for his MLS pedigree, not for his international pedigree. This guy knows how to win MLS Cups. And yes, it might suck for PR, but I don't think half the fans will care. Everyone has short-term memory in terms of that stuff. By the time it's 2020, 2021, people are going to be like, this guy, whatever, he's not going to be my national team coach. He's my MLS coach. And I need to win games, and I want to win the MLS Cup. Hiring a guy that's done that multiple times, it makes sense. So, I mean, I wouldn't get mad if a team that I followed hired him. Maybe I'd be a little confused because he is a little backwards in terms of the way MLS is progressing and the way he his style is tactically. But I mean, shoot, man. I mean, the guy's a winner. In MLS, he's a proven winner. Now, I'm not talking internationally. Internationally, he has made mistakes. We know that clear and day. But in MLS, he's a proven winner. What else can you want?
Yeah, we'll see. All right, and up next, you're going to hear my interview with Houston Dynamo legend Brian Ching. Very nice guy. Take a listen. He brought some insight into what MLS was like in the mid-2000s when David Beckham first arrived. Right now is MLS and U.S. men's national team veteran Brian Ching. Brian, how's it going?
It's going good. Good. Busy these days, running around like a madman.
I'm sure you are. But, you know, I was reading up on you, and you're the first Hawaiian-born player to represent the U.S. How does that feel to have that name tag to your name?
Yeah, it's pretty special, you know, to be the first of anything. But you know, obviously, you know, never set out wanting to be a professional soccer player. So when you take all those things into consideration and where I came from, and when I look back and and see, you know, that how, you know, popular wasn't, you know, one of the most major sports back in the day on the island. You know, I've come a long way, and you know, kind of puts a smile on my face, and hopefully showed a path for a number of other kids coming out of Hawaii that they can make it if they put their minds to it.
You know, let's go back to when you actually started. You were the 16th pick in the MLS Super Draft back in 2001. And what were your thoughts running through your mind going to MLS?
To be honest, you know, I had a good tryout with the Galaxy one summer in my when I was in college. You know, I think it was my junior year. I went up and trained with the Galaxy for about 2 weeks, and you know, had a really good training session. So, you know, I kind of knew the level to expect. But when I got there, and then you face all the competition, it's day in and day out, and you're not just there on a little bit of a tryout, but you know, there's the pressures of competing day to day and performing day to day. You know, when I first got there, I don't think I was ready mentally for that jump in level from college to professional level. But you know, so I struggled with that first year, and obviously, you know, my playing time and the stats definitely reflected that. But I gained a lot of information, and I gained a lot of, I guess, knowledge about myself and what I would need to be successful throughout the rest of my career in that first year. And, you know, although I didn't have a great year on the field, I think off the field, I learned so much about myself and my approach to the game and what it was going to take to be successful. And, you know, so for me, I think that probably was the most important year of my career, even though, you know, I got released after that season. But the lessons that I learned and the things I learned about myself and what I need to do to be successful, I really learned those things that year and applied them throughout my career. And, you know, a big reason why I think I was able to achieve some of the things that I did.
Absolutely. Now, what was the perception of the league back then? I mean, what was your perception of MLS as a whole?
You know, I think I was kind of one of those just wide-eyed kids going. I was like, all right, we're going to go, you know, try this for professional soccer. Like I said, growing up in Hawaii, you know, there wasn't access to, you know, even back, you know, what was it, plus years ago, that there was no EPL on the TV every week. There was no Barcelona's, Real Madrid. There's no PSG's, and so I couldn't watch a lot of soccer. And growing up in Hawaii, I didn't even know about the English league. I didn't know about any European league, to be honest. And it wasn't until I got to college that my my college coach Einar loved Manchester United and was watching them all the time, that I really found out about the European game and was able to watch it pretty consistently and learn from it. And so for me, the thought of playing professional soccer never really crossed my mind. I mean, the league didn't start until '96, if I'm not mistaken, and that was the year I graduated from high school. So, to get to the league, it was just kind of one of those things like, wow, this is kind of fun. This is cool. Things aren't superstar status like the other leagues, but being a part of something that in its infancy and feeling like you were able to help grow it is pretty special. And so I guess my initial thoughts about the league was, this is pretty cool. I get to play professional soccer in the United States.
So let's talk about your time in MLS. You went on to win multiple trophies, individual awards, as well as team awards. But how crazy was it to see so much change in MLS with expansion, with new stadiums being built, with the acquisition of talent?
Yeah, I mean, the first year I got into the league, 2001, I think it was the league went from 12 teams down to 10 teams. The 2 teams in Florida folded, and so competition was even tougher. I look back at some of the names on the that first team that I was on with the Galaxy, and I was just like, when I think back on it, it was some of the guys that I grew up watching playing soccer. The Paul Caligiuris, Alexi Lawless, Eric Ronaldo's, Kobe Jones, Robin Fraser. Ziggy Smith was the coach, and so to kind of come into the league when it's contracting and be on such I would say pretty legendary team, to seeing it grow to 24 teams and continue to grow, and then you're seeing the success of the Seattle's filling out football stadiums, and Atlanta new teams coming in, and the Kansas City's transition from the old Arrowhead Stadium to this unbelievable facility that they have there. The Red Bull Arena. It's pretty amazing to kind of see and grow, and to see franchise values from basically zero to just to get in the league, $150 million it's pretty awesome and pretty cool to be a part of. It's in the beginning it's not easy. I mean, a lot of the guys that played in this league that helped it grow, and a lot of the owners that were part of it in the beginning, there were a lot of pains and a lot of hills to get over and hurdles to kind of get to this point, and so to be a part of that, you kind of feel like, wow, you were a part of building something special, and it's continuing to grow. I would love to see it to grow in leaps and bounds from where it was till now, the same amount in the next, hopefully 5-10 years. I think the growth now is exponentially quicker, and you're starting to see some teams and some owners really get in there and spend money and go after some exciting talent. I think Atlanta's done a good job of building their team coming into the league. LAFC actually has had a good start to the season this year, and it's exciting to see that you're getting these owners that are really coming in and wanting to get those special players. And the Galaxy stepping up and bringing in Zlatan, and his impact in just that first game was pretty exciting to see.
Oh, it was a lot of fun to see. But during your time, what was the biggest challenge as a professional and personally in this growing league?
yeah, you deal with a lot of things. It's a lot of frustrations of not having things like they are today. I mean, when you're, in the league and it's growing, there's a lot of pains from the fields you play on, to the locker rooms, to the stadiums, to the traveling conditions. There's a lot of things that you just have to just chalk it up and say, look, we're a young league and we're growing, and this is a part of it. And it's hard at times. There are fields that we've played on that were extremely, terrible, to say the least. Stadiums that we played in, and played in high school stadiums, and played in massive football arenas where there are no people in there. And I guess you put in so much, and you put in so much work, and the owners put in so much, probably, money and capital, and then it's not up to the level that you would expect it to be. So there's just a lot of that. You gotta swallow your pride a little bit sometimes, and just go out and do your work and be a part of the league and know that it's growing. And so there was a lot of little challenges, in there, and the players, with the league, and the rules and the things like that. But looking back on it now, it was an enjoyable experience overall. Tough at times, but when you look at what you were doing, chasing the ball around, it's puts a smile on your face these days, and it did take a toll on a lot of the guys' bodies. We didn't have the facilities to take care of ourselves, or the means to sometimes, to put the right things in your body as far as, nutrition and things like that, because you're living on such a tight budget at times.
What was there a lot of complaint among at least players regarding, say, even just turf versus grass, the locker rooms or the stadiums and the travel conditions, or was that something everybody knew about, and you guys more focused on just the game and you just had to deal with it?
One of the things you find out of being a professional, especially if you're being a professional for a long time, is that you always have something to complain about. No matter how good it is, you have something to complain about. I look these days, and you hear some of the complaints, and you're just like, okay, well, you wouldn't be complaining about that 10 years ago, But that's just part of being a professional athlete. You just learn to complain about everything, and so. But no, I think in the past it was. One of the things I think that made us successful as a team was that, we would complain about things and feel slighted in a lot of ways, but we would use that as a team to kind of, go out there and prove that we were better than what people thought, or the way we were treated. And I think other teams, probably didn't pull together in the same way that we did when it came to those types of things. And I think that helped us as a team. We just had the right group of guys that, just dealt with the situations that was dealt to us, and tried to make the best of it. And so I think that was kind of our attitude, and what we used to make us successful is, it's not perfect, but we're a group of guys, and we enjoy hanging out, and we love playing hard, and we love competing, and we love winning. And regardless of where you put us and what conditions you give to us, we're going to go out there and win. So yeah, I mean, there was lots to complain about, and but I think for us, with our group, we were able to use those things kind of in a positive light.
One of the biggest changes during your playing time was the David Beckham coming to America, and I think a majority of soccer fans and experts would say that forever changed MLS. How did he change just the style of play on the field, or was there something you noticed that really changed when he came?
Yeah, of course, when he comes, he brings this A-list celebrity status to the league, and I think it forced the league to change a lot of things in how players were being treated, because here comes a guy that's played at some of the best clubs in the world, and it just kind of forces the league to raise the level of how they were treating their players. I think that was one positive. Another positive is, every time he stepped on the field or out in the community, he brought a lot of attention to our league. So he kind of really helped raise the profile of our league. And, from all the battles that we had, he was one of those guys that his teammates loved and you hated to play against. And that's he came in here with the right attitude, and that to me is the biggest thing, right? If he came in here and treated it as like a holiday, then I don't think he would have been able to have the effect that he did have on the league, as a whole. And the fact that he still believes in it, and is trying to get a team in Miami is helpful and pretty neat. And just to see that, he's a quality guy that actually cares about the league and his players and his teammates when he was here. And, as far as the play goes, everybody knew that he was a good player and a special player. And that, the Galaxy actually built a pretty good team with him, Landon and Robbie Keane. They created a little bit of as a rival, reluctant to say this, but a little bit of a dynasty there. But they did. And so I think, he kind of raised that profile of the league in the United States and kind of helped accelerate its process a little bit, and it's continuing to grow, and, you continue to see stars that are eyeing the States, and eyeing, wanting to come over here. And, I think that all kind of started with him.
What do you make of the Ibrahimovic signing? And as someone who built a career off of scoring goals in MLS, what would you advise him to do when it comes to scoring?
I think it's going to be difficult for him to kind of keep up at a pace like he is, especially if he starts week in and week out. At 37 years old, he is a physical specimen, don't get me wrong, and one of the best goal scorers ever. But I think one of the things that you might struggle with and deal with is the amount of travel and the way that it affects your body, right? A lot of times when I've talked to a lot of these guys that have come from Europe, they've always said the hardest thing to get used to is the traveling in the United States, right? I mean, a lot of times their bus rides, 2 hours or whatnot, or their plane rides an hour, 2 hour max to get where they're going. And week in and week out, you're flying in the United States. Your quickest trip is 1 hour if you're lucky, but 2 to 3 hours to get around the country. And then you're dealing with the time change too. So on an older player, I think that stuff kind of hits you a little bit quicker. But having said that, he's come in and had a fantastic start. But he said, he's like, I couldn't even probably play more than the minutes that I got. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how they utilize him over the course of the season. Because if I think they try to make him a week in and week out player, I think he'll start off fantastic. But I think he'll end up breaking down by the end of the year and not being as effective. So I think they really need to be careful. Hopefully they're not listening, but with the amount of minutes he plays, and that might be tough, for a guy like that who probably wants to feel that he wants to play every single minute when he gets back, totally fit. So it'll be interesting to see, kind of how he plays out. But don't get me wrong, I think he's going to have an effect on the league, and he's going to score goals when he's feeling good. I mean, he's just a phenomenal player, and he's done it at every single level. Another thing that might bother him will be just that he's played at the best clubs in the world, and then you come to, the MLS, and it's not a slight on the MLS at all. It's just, he's been on the best clubs in the world, and, the team that he's on now, obviously not going to be playing with the best players in the world. So it'll be interesting to see that dynamic and if the frustration set in over time as well. So, but having said that, I'm excited to see it. And especially after that first game, hats off to him, and I wish him the best of luck for the league.
So you were part of multiple MLS Cup champions, twice with the Houston Dynamo, once with the Earthquakes. And why do you think it's so difficult to win the double in the sense of the Support Shield being the best team in the regular season and then going on and succeeding in MLS Cup?
I think it's just because the parity of the league. I think the league's done a good job of, keeping all teams fairly competitive. So I think, throughout the regular season, there's one team a lot of times that's going to pull ahead, but the rosters aren't as deep as some of the best teams in the world. So, over the course of a season, sometimes, your best players that played a lot of minutes get tired and get worn down, and the way the playoff system is set up, it's like the NCAA basketball. The top teams don't always win, right? And when you're looking at soccer, it's not always the best teams that win games. And so, when you're thrown into a 2-game series or a 1-game series, anything can happen, right? I mean, and because soccer has, more upsets, I think, when you look at the higher team playing a lower team, then it's bound to happen in the playoffs that's going to happen. So, it's just, you need a little bit of luck. You need, a lot of skill and a little bit of luck to be able to win both and do that. And so, that's what it's hats off to Toronto. They did a fantastic job. It's not easy to do. So, that's kind of, why I think that, it doesn't happen very often.
Mm-hmm. Now, Brian, before we get to the busy work that you're doing post-soccer, what is the ceiling for MLS and even the men's national team? Do you think we can continue this growth that we're seeing in MLS, or do you think it's more of a bubble and we're starting to come to, I guess, a little of a burst sometime soon?
No, I think you're going to start to see it accelerate a little bit more. One thing that I do, hope that the MLS does address is the fact that, we need to be focused, and I think one of the things with this whole election and the U.S. failing to hit the World Cup is, we need to focus on getting more kids to play soccer and more kids to stay in soccer, and then getting those, top kids into better situations, into better coaching at younger ages, so we can really start developing some of these talents. And you're seeing some of that kind of coming through the ranks with, the Weah kid, the Pulisic, and a number of the younger generation. But we just need more of that, right? I mean, we're such a big country, and I think our focus has been on the MLS for so long, even with U.S. soccer, that we've kind of neglected some of the pathways for kids to become better players. And I think that the failure of the U.S. has really forced everyone to kind of retool and rethink the way things have gone on, and hopefully we'll come out of that looking better, and that'll help accelerate the growth of not only MLS but the men's national team as well. And one of the things I'd like to see the league is to put in rules that focus on developing younger talented American players. Because right now you're seeing this huge shift in going after younger talent from overseas and then getting these guys green cards within a year or two. So they're taking up, in essence, spots that American players, you'd like to see hold on to and be able to kind of develop, and not become like this foreign league where, you're getting a lot of kids or a lot of younger talent from all over the world and then getting them green cards, and then, that's less room for developing actual American player talent. So, it's just one of the things that I think that, is kind of at a tipping point that we really need to decide that, developing American kids and making sure that we're creating spots for them in the MLS and on the MLS, in the MLS systems to develop them to get to the MLS teams and not just become, a team of foreigners, like kind of like I think you see a lot happening in the EPL. And there's always that balance of trying to be the best league and try to bring in all the best players, but trying to make sure that you have a focus, and the main focus should be on developing, American players and getting them into the game, loving the game, and helping out get the national team on a higher level.
Now, Brian, you're a busy man in Houston, as you said in the beginning of the show. How would you tell us listeners all what you're involved in?
Well, I obviously still love the Dynamo, being a part of it, and I'm helping the Dash. I'm on the board of Dynamo Charities. I'm on the board of Houston Habitat for Humanity. For me, it's just a matter of I enjoy getting out into the community and helping out, and part of that is raising the brand and the awareness of Dynamo and the Dash in Houston. And we have a number of initiatives, and it's pretty cool to see that some of the guys on the team, like Albert Elise now, is really getting out in the community and doing things around his kind of rise in play and stardom in the city. And we've always kind of, as a company and as an organization, felt like the fans give us so much that we want to give back and be relatable and be out in the community, because I think that's one thing that really in a lot of ways separated not only us but the MLS from all the other major leagues is guys getting out into the community, growing the game, and having that connection with our fans. And I've been fortunate enough to create that connection and try to continue to keep that connection with fans, not just around soccer but outside in the community around different initiatives that we've had. And it's one of those things, as the league grows and there's more money, it's always a tough request to kind of keep, or a tough image to kind of keep, where the players are, relatable to the fans and getting out in the communities. And so, it's one of our initiatives as a team and an organization, and obviously as an individual, it has to come from individuals that enjoy getting out and doing things. And we have a number of guys that have on the team now that are really making a big push to get out there, which is really great to see, because I feel we kind of built our brand off of that type of player.
And what about Pitch 25? What's going on there?
Yeah, so I've always wanted to own a business and be a part of growing a business. And I saw an opportunity. There was a warehouse across the street from the stadium that's been empty for 8 or 9 years. And, like I said, I wanted to create my own business. And I thought, what a brilliant idea it would be to have a soccer venue, a soccer-specific bar because I really didn't feel like there was a place to go to watch soccer in Houston. And, with it being right next to the stadium, it was kind of a no-brainer. And it's a huge project, obviously getting into something that, a different realm of expertise, but I partner with some great guys, and I'm learning a lot and enjoying the process. And we're hoping to open in the beginning of May sometime. So we're getting really close here. So crunch time as far as that goes, but seeing it come together and seeing what the space is going to look like, there's nothing like it in the country that I've ever seen. So if anybody does get to make it out to Houston, or look us up, check us out, come have a beer and watch a soccer game with us, because we have two aspects. There's an outdoor beer garden and then kind of an indoor soccer restaurant with a soccer field in it. So it's a unique thing, and I'm really excited and can't wait to kind of open the doors.
Yeah, I mean, just moving around quite a bit, I always had trouble finding a place to go watch a soccer game. You have a couple of pubs here and there, but this seems really cool. And if my team or I are ever down in Houston, we'll definitely have to stop by and check it out, because this sounds very exciting, and just to have a bar specific to soccer is just, it's always fun because you're always surrounding yourself with a bunch of soccer guys or gals, and it's just fun.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the soccer fan is definitely different than any other of the major sports fans here in the United States, and we all know that because we live that. But that's one of the things that I always hear when people come to our stadium for the first time. They're like, "Wow, it's a cool experience. I didn't know the games were like that and that exciting." And a lot of that has to do with the way soccer fans are. They want to be a part of the action and want to feel like they're influencing the game, and that's why they're so vocal, and we can hear them on the field all the time, and they've been so beneficial to us. And so hopefully we can get that kind of vibe and that feel going during all the games in the bar. Definitely going to look forward to that. Pitch 25. So can't wait.
Hopefully it opens before the Champions League final. That way you could have a huge sellout that first month.
Yeah, you know what? My 40th comes on the 24th, so I'm telling my GC, hey, this is a drop dead open. So we're gonna have a massive party. I think our grand opening will probably be the Champions League final, and that's the way it's looking right now. So it'll be a great way to introduce the bar to the city.
That's awesome. Well, Brian, we really appreciate it. And here on the show, we have a shameless plug. So just go ahead and tell listeners where we can find, updates for Pitch 25 or your Twitter or anything else you'd like to just plug away here at the final moments.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Steven, for having me on. Pitch25.com. It's pretty simple. It's easy. It's right out there. And come check us out whenever you travel to Houston, or if you are in Houston. It's going to be something that the country's probably never seen before.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate it, Brian. Thanks again.
Okay, appreciate it. Have a good one.
Steven, what were your thoughts on that interview with Brian Ching?
Super cool guy. I love his idea with Pitch 25, that soccer bar. I can't wait to go down. As Armand got sucked away from the tornado in our break, we were talking about the development of youth, and I think Brian Ching hit on something really interesting, is regarding what type of system are we having, and what type of system is MLS allowing, because the biggest names or the biggest signees this past offseason were with young kids, but they weren't American. Yes, you have Tyler Adams at Red Bulls, and you see a couple players, through the academy system, which is great. But when are we going to see the hype of an 18-year-old American be like, this guy can really be something like what you see with Rossi at LAFC or Barco at Atlanta? Now, Brian Ching didn't necessarily allude to these names, but he does raise an interesting question, is, are we going to see a trend that allows MLS and maybe, the league incentivizes MLS clubs to say, you know what, play more younger kids, because that's what we need. That's the next step for this league to grow, is yes, big names are coming and big names want to come. How often do we see the big names in Europe say, yeah, maybe one day I'll play in MLS? That's no longer a question, because I think it's open to any player. It's a question or not, are we going to see a Christian Pulisic come through the MLS system and then make a huge $20 million move to a mid-table club in the Premier League, or a club in the Bundesliga or Serie A, or wherever it may be?
Yeah, that I think we'll get there at some point. It's just going to take time to, before MLS is just churning out young talent. And the only young American player that comes to mind that kind of had some hype behind him coming into MLS was Jordan Morris. And I think he's kind of, I don't know, flamed out is the right word, but he's definitely cooled off in terms of like the hype that was behind him there. So no, but yeah, I think Brian Ching is right. Something needs to be done about development of the young domestic players in MLS. And I mean that's kind of my gripe with MLS right now is you're bringing over these young kids from South America, which is great, and that's what this league needs is more talent. But we need to be working on, making sure that we are progressing also as a soccer country too, and making sure that our own players are developing and our own players are getting better, and they can be sold on to teams in Europe, like you said, and used for the national team. And it's just something I'd like to see here as we progress.
Absolutely. Armand, we'll give you the final word here.
Yeah, guys, I'm really a big proponent with the domestic American talent of the whole college system. I mean, I used to be really against it. I used to really hate it, and I still do hate it as current, whatever the current standards that it has right now. But overall, I wish the college system had been reformed, and it is better. I think it could give more opportunities for domestic players to flourish and maybe potentially get opportunities elsewhere. But I mean, outside of that, I think you guys hit the hammer on the head in terms of making those players reaching their potential and getting the hype.
Alrighty, well, check out awaydaysfootball.com to get a fantastic $25 mystery soccer kit. It's fantastic. I love it.
Wait, you forgot the subscription thing they just added, man.
Oh, yes, you can
Don't forget about that. They also now have a subscription feature where you can. It's about the same price as a normal jersey, but instead of having to make multiple purchases, you can just get a 6-month one for $150 and use promo code Uncle Sam for 15% off. It's actually a really cool deal. Basically, every month you'll get a new jersey. That's completely random. Are
you serious?
It's like Christmas.
Jake's finding that out for the first time.
I'm literally finding this out right now. Are you serious, Clark?
I'm serious. It's like a Christmas every month. Like, oh wow, December, whatever day Christmas is. Sorry, I'm not Christian. Whatever day it is, it's every day, man. So yeah, they have the new subscription. They have it in 3 months and 6 months, and I think it's a really cool feature. And again, you can use promo code Uncle Sam. That's Uncle Sam for 15% off your purchase. So we'll save you some money. Send me the check.
Yes, follow the show at Unc Sam Soccer Pod. Give us a share, subscribe, review us. Go like Armand's writing, and then below comment how bad it sucks.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. Jake Watroba in Minnesota, Armand Kafai down in Dallas, and I'm here in Madison, Wisconsin. Until next time, peace out.